it never ends. Glorifying Srila Prabhupada never ends. Like one time Srila Prabhupada himself was glorifying his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. And at one time he stopped, he said, what can we say? He was a Vaikuntha man. So we can say the same thing for Prabhupada. He's a Vaikuntha man. How much can we glorify Prabhupada? He's unlimited. He's unlimited. And we, as devotees, as followers of Srila Prabhupada, and the world, and we didn't yet achieve the complete understanding of the perception of who Prabhupada was. Certainly, we cannot speculate about who Prabhupada is in the spiritual world, Srila Prabhupada, even though he gave apparently some hints. He never indicate his personality in the spiritual world. But we know he's not from this world, certainly not from this world. But one day the whole world will know something about the glories of this great personality. As you know, we hear so much how Jesus became famous all over the planet, practically speaking. Even in China, there are people glorifying Jesus, Christians, you know. So Jesus became very, very popular around the world. And his contribution was certainly very great, magnificent. But still, compared what Srila Prabhupada came to give to the world, still very small. Jesus kind of chalked the path where Prabhupada would come and walk. Because he gave the basis, certainly the basis of Bhakti are there, the teachings of Jesus. But Prabhupada came to give everything, you know, make us understand who we are. Jesus never told us that so much. Who we are, why we are here, what is our relationship with God, who is God, what is the name of God, what God does, you know, what is his activities, you know, where does he live. Like Srila Prabhupada said, we know everything about Krishna. We know his name, we know his address, and we even have his telephone number. And he goes, what's that? Yes, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And we are in touch with Krishna. Krishna responds. So Prabhupada actually came to give us everything that we needed to know. There's nothing else to add to that. If you really examine what Prabhupada gave and what we have to do, it's nothing more than what he gave us. And he actually told us, everything you need, everything is there in my books. So he gave us everything. Now we may think, okay, there's some details that we're going to realize, but it's going to all come from Prabhupada's books also. Prabhupada is going to reveal also to us through his books. We all know, we all have the experience how we study Srila Prabhupada's books, and we find so much nectar, so many things that touches us. Your English okay, Prabhu? Your English is okay? Yeah. So many things Prabhupada say in his books are so touching to us and so revealing and provoke a change in our hearts, make us feel better in our lives. You feel so inspired. But how many times, and I'm sure everybody, all of you have this experience, how many times you go back and read the same things and you have a newer and a fresher understanding, a realization of the same thing that we read before. It's so dynamic. Everything is so in depth in Srila Prabhupada's teachings, to the point that even Srila Prabhupada, we mentioned last time, Srila Prabhupada himself relished to read his books, in reading his books. One time Shrutakirti caught Srila Prabhupada reading Bhagavad Gita. And usually author reads a book maybe looking for editing or printing mistakes in his work, What he wrote is not really any more relevant to him because he's the writer. He wrote. It's for others, But Srila Prabhupada was not writing in that way. Prabhupada was not reading in that way. Prabhupada was reading and relishing. He said, these are Krishna's words. He saw himself. He saw himself, Hare Krishna. He saw himself as an instrument of Krishna to do what he did. Hey, Nityananda Ji, hey, Janani, Hari Bol. Oh, nice surprise. Okay, let's do some Bhakti Yoga now. So, yes, it's so dynamic. What Srila Prabhupada put in his books is so... It's a living philosophy. It's not just something that we read. It's okay, I understood, finish, close the book, and you don't care anymore because you already have understood. No, it's so much to experience from the words of Srila. So Srila Prabhupada actually gave credit to Krishna for these presentations, his purpose. Said it was my ecstasies. Means it's Krishna's inspiration. Krishna's inspiration that made him write. And then you can see when Prabhupada chose the very early hours of the day, Brahma Muhurta, even before Brahma Muhurta, is the moments where it's so easy to be in communion with Krishna because the timings is so auspicious and there's no disturbances, and Prabhupada chose those moments to be with Krishna in writing his purpose. So his purpose in his books are not just ordinary writings of somebody who has some understanding about those scriptures. It's really a very deep realizations of Srila Prabhupada. That's why Srila Prabhupada said, everything is in my books. It was not kind of a proud statement. Okay, I wrote those books and you just read my books, you understand everything. No, it wasn't. Prabhupada was seeing this as a message of Krishna. It's Krishna. It's Krishna's there. It's Krishna who actually revealed himself in his purpose. I had an account with Srila Prabhupada, or I was present in a situation with Srila Prabhupada, where Srila Prabhupada revealed a little bit about this and about himself. It was in New Mayapur. I was very fortunate to be invited by the devotees who made me a devotee here in Lisbon, and they had convinced me to go to Brazil to be trained as a devotee and come back here. They told me, you go there, you be trained, and then you come and open a center here in Portugal. But and I was preparing to go to Brazil, and meanwhile, because they left Portugal to go on their way to India by land, and they stopped in France because Srila Prabhupada was about to visit France. So they wrote me a letter saying, maybe you could come to France now and you could meet Srila Prabhupada. And there's many devotees around here now waiting for Srila Prabhupada. It's a very wonderful atmosphere. So come here for some time and you can meet Srila Prabhupada. So it was by their blessings, these devotees' blessings, that I had the chance to go to France and see Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada arrived in a very, very nice car, but not so opulent, but enough opulent to make me envious. Say, why you have to ride in such a nice car? Why not just a simple car? If he's a very humble devotee. Even before that, I was very young, very new person. Just 1 week before that, we were unloading a truck with marble that came from Italy to compose or to make his Vyasasana pieces. It all came in pieces and you just put together to make his Vyasasana. You saw the Vyasasana Prabhupada in New Mayapur. Very beautiful. At that time they had no dome, but still very beautiful marble, very nicely carved. So we were I was helping the devotees to unload the truck, and I said, what is this marble for? Because I saw it was a very fine thing, you know. Oh, this is for Srila Prabhupada to make his seat, his Vyasasana. Why? He's a yogi, he sits on the floor, you know, deer skin, you know, on the floor. Why a big throne? And the devotee tried to explain, you see, Prabhupada is our spiritual master, is Krishna as a representative. He's not just an ordinary person. So as Krishna as a representative, we have to receive him in a very, very elevated way. So actually, this is nothing. It's a simple throne of marble. Yeah. Later on, I realized on the 10 days that Srila Prabhupada stayed there, he gave me at least some understanding about how important was his position, that I was thinking, yes, even in gold, even a gold throne would not be too opulent for Prabhupada to sit in. So Srila Prabhupada came, but you see, when we are envious, all these things, you know, come out, we cannot appreciate. So I certainly was envious at that time, I'm still envious. But at that time, very envious, so I could not understand Srila Prabhupada's position, how he deserved much more than just a marble throne. And Prabhupada, when he sat in that throne, he was just so natural, you know. He was not trying to pose himself that he was sitting in the throne. He was sitting there very humble, you know, as he would be sitting on the floor, the same mood. And I still remember the words Srila Prabhupada said when we arrived. It was very encouraging words, even though my English at that time was not yet very good. Srila Prabhupada said, I'm very happy that you boys and girls are chanting Hare Krishna in this very remote village of France. Chanting it, because we are chanting Hare Krishna. This was for Prabhupada a very great thing, you know. We are chanting Hare Krishna in a very remote place in France. So I said, wow. Just because we chant Hare Krishna, Prabhupada feels so happy about that. It's very interesting. And then in the next day, in the afternoon, the first time Srila Prabhupada walked out of the property of the castle, there was a big, those who visit also the pictures, a beautiful construction. It's a small castle, very, very nice construction, quite opulent. So we walked out, accompanying Srila Prabhupada. We had hundreds, maybe 300 or 400 devotees, walking out to Srila Prabhupada, and we sat, you know, near the castle was a big pine tree, giving a huge shadow. So we sat under that tree, and the first thing Srila Prabhupada said, we don't need these big castles. We can just sit under a tree and talk about Krishna, glorify Krishna. It's so nice. In case we had some attachment for that particular place, Prabhupada was dismantling. And that first day said, we don't need these things, so don't be attached to this opulence and thing. Because that place, New Mayapur, was actually bought by Srila Prabhupada. I got to know this recently. That Srila Prabhupada actually made the deal with the person who was the owner of that place. It was a community meant to take care of people who are a little, dismantled in their brains, you know, not retarded, yeah. And he was helping them and making them build incense and do some things in this factory. So it was a kind of a village of very retarded people. It looked like haunted people. So, and he wanted to give part of the property and just stay in one corner, because it was too big, and he wanted to sell, or was kind of planning to sell. Srila Prabhupada he went to see him. They visited some places in the south of France, and then they brought him to see this place. And Prabhupada met the owner, was ancient commandant of the army, a very nice person, very educated. And Prabhupada met him and made a deal with him and gave him the down payment for that property. So Prabhupada immediately said, okay, we take it. And the next year, then this was in 74, in 75, Srila Prabhupada visited the community, the place again, but not so many devotees were living there yet. They were still restoring things. Srila Prabhupada had not his room. Didn't have the temple room completed. Still Srila Prabhupada installed Gaudiya deities. And then a year when I was there in 76, Srila Prabhupada came for the third time. And this is when they installed Krishna Baladeva deities. So Srila Prabhupada arrived, so the first day, immediately said, you should make the remark, we should not be attached to the place. And Srila Prabhupada, because he was very sick, those other devotees convinced Srila Prabhupada to not come down from his room to the temple for the normal functions in the morning program, because he was very sick. So it would be better stay in his room, just do his translation work. And in the afternoons, because it was warm, it was actually a drought at that time. It was not raining in Europe for quite a few months. And Prabhupada would go in the afternoons with the devotees and walk in the property, visit different places, and then sit down under a tree, usually. A very nice scenery and a very nice situation, sitting with Prabhupada under a tree, all around him, Like you see the pictures of Krishna taking lunch in the forest and all the coward boys around him, because they all want to see Krishna, And here we are, we also like to sit down, everybody, around Prabhupada, mostly in front of Prabhupada to see Srila Prabhupada. It was a very nice setting. And one time we were walking the property through the gardens, and we were having a kirtan, accompanying Srila Prabhupada, and then we stopped under a very big oak tree, huge tree, very huge shadow. And it was maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon, very warm afternoon. And we sat under that beautiful tree, and the kirtan went on for a few minutes more while we were seated, and then it stopped. And then when it stopped, it was a kind of a silence, but not complete silence, because the devotees had placed throughout the property, even outside in the fields and in the gardens, loudspeakers connected to some player, somewhere in the castle, and they were playing bhajans of Prabhupada all day long, even before Prabhupada came. All day long, from early in the morning until the evening, there were always bhajans going on in any place of the property, even in the fields. You could hear Prabhupada singing in the loudspeakers. So this time, here we are, in front of Srila Prabhupada, we all silent, because it stopped the kirtan, seeing Srila Prabhupada and hearing his beautiful voice. He was singing the Brahma Sangita prayers, this beautiful bhajan. It was so nice, so beautiful, Prabhupada silent, we all silent, and looking at Prabhupada and hearing his voice in the loudspeakers was a very wonderful experience. And then, maybe it lasts for 2 minutes, nobody say anything. Prabhupada was there, listened to his own voice, and we all listened to Prabhupada's voice, and nobody dared to say anything, And then was one devotee, Yogeshwar, he broke the silence. He said, Srila Prabhupada, you have the most beautiful voice of the universe. And Prabhupada, kind of waited a few seconds and said, yes. He said, because this voice does not belong to this universe. And he quoted that verse, Golokera Premadhan Harinam Sankirtan. In Srila Prabhupada, what Srila Prabhupada meant by that was certainly that the sound, the voice means the sound. It was a sound vibration that the holy name is coming. That's why he quoted that particular verse, that the wealth of the spiritual world, Premadhan, is coming through the holy name, coming from Vaikuntha, from the spirit, from Goloka. So what Srila Prabhupada meant certainly was glorifying the holy name. This is the holy name, so he's certainly not from this world. And because he's not from this world, it's the most beautiful thing. It's coming from the spiritual world. But for us it was kind of a glimpse, Prabhupada giving a hint to his own nature, where he came from. Now this voice comes from the spiritual world. So it was very nice. And then at that time gave the famous speech about Manmana Bhava Bhaktoya Madhyaji Nam Namaskuru. Srila Prabhupada, when Krishna says, always think of me, always worship me, offer me prayers, think of me. And Prabhupada went on developing his lecture about thinking about Krishna. How actually it's not difficult to think about Krishna. He said we all have to think. The thinking process is always there. So it's not that we have to force ourselves to think. You just have to think. But instead of thinking things that don't bring us any happiness, just think of Krishna. Prabhupada was putting that very easy, because for him it was very easy. And he explained, yes, if we love Krishna, then it's very easy. It's very easy to think of Krishna. Not like if you love a person, it's very easy to think of a person, a child, a husband, a wife. It's very easy to think of that person. So Prabhupada said, yes, if you just love Krishna, then it's so easy to think of Krishna. Yeah? And even that Prabhupada was making us feel that it was easy to love Krishna, because for him what was natural to love him, to love Krishna. And so Prabhupada, yes, it's very easy, you just think of Krishna. And he went on and on. What is the difficulty? The phrase that Srila Prabhupada repeated many times. What is the difficulty? Just think of Krishna. Krishna is there in his form, in his name, in his pastimes. Just think of him. One devotee even asked a question in the answer. Srila Prabhupada, you say thinking of Krishna is very natural, and we should think of Krishna. Always think of Krishna. What if you're doing business? Business, you are dealing with money and transaction and negotiating prices, and you may not think of Krishna. But I said, no, it's also thinking of Krishna, because you have to do business for Krishna. When you do business, should be for Krishna, not for yourself. So if you're doing business for Krishna, you're naturally thinking of Krishna. It's connected. It's not separated from Krishna. So Prabhupada made us feel that to be a devotee of Krishna, to love Krishna, was the most natural thing, the most easy thing to do. Even though we still, I guess most of us, we still struggle to really become attached to Krishna, attached to his holy names, so many things related with him. But for Prabhupada, it was just the most easy thing, the most simple thing, the most natural thing to do, just to love him. And that was nice, because we felt and we still feel by reading his books that Krishna consciousness is actually not difficult. To become attached to Krishna is not difficult. To become a devotee of Krishna is not difficult. To love Krishna is actually not difficult. What is difficult is our minds, and we are very much attached to our minds. We are the difficult ones. The process is very easy actually, and Srila Prabhupada, the way he gave us, it was very easy, and it is very easy. When Prabhupada used to say, just chant Hare Krishna and be happy, it's a very, very famous sentence, and we say, well, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Are you chanting Hare Krishna and be happy? It's not always obvious that you chant Hare Krishna and you feel very happy, because you may not chant with the right attitude, you may not chant purely. So we don't immediately connect chanting Hare Krishna with happiness. It's not that you're taking our japas and you feel extremely happy by chanting the holy names. Most of us, me particularly, I struggle. Hare Krishna, try to be attentive, to not get my mind go away to all kinds of weird thoughts. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's kind of a struggle, and difficult, because we don't have natural affection for Krishna. But Prabhupada said, yes, just chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And it's a fact. If you really chant Hare Krishna, as we should chant Hare Krishna, means with pure heart, with feeling, with affection, then yes, we feel happy, because we are talking, we are glorifying a person we love. So naturally we feel happy, like a mother, if it thinks about the child, she feels happy, because it loves the child, so it's normal thing. So Prabhupada made it very easy actually. many sentences like that Prabhupada gave, to make us feel that the process and the way of loving Krishna, it's actually very easy. We all can take it. We don't need to be great philosophers or intelligent according to material standards, or being born in a Brahmana family in India, or this or that. We don't need nothing of these material qualifications. We just need to take the process as simple as Srila Prabhupada presented to us. So simple, and actually it is a very simple process. So what Prabhupada gave us is the most wonderful gift. That's why it was very interesting that when they got this first place in New York, the first temple center Srila Prabhupada had was the matchless gift, Como é que presente igual, inigualável. And it's a fact, and it was nice that very, very, very interesting that the first place that was a matchless gift shop, and they kept. I think they kept this name in a place, because the fact is something really, really very unique what Srila Prabhupada gave us. The whole spiritual world, how to be with Krishna, how to love Krishna, how to play with Krishna. Because he could do that, he could transmit that Krishna consciousness in such an easy, simple way and affordable, easy to practice, because he was a devotee. He was really a natural devotee of Krishna. He was not forcing himself to look like a devotee, like we may force ourselves. Like we put a nice stiletto, and they think I'm a good devotee, nice sari, nice dhotis, We may make a little bit look like him, but Prabhupada didn't need to do that. He was a natural devotee. And see, sometimes Prabhupada would dress in a very awkward way. His dhoti all messed up, But Prabhupada looks so wonderful. Huh? We don't know. If you look at the picture, you may see the dhoti wrinkled and the knot is down instead, and because from the previous time he may put it wrong, and then you see the knot there, and it really looks funny, But when you look at Prabhupada is so wonderful. So wonderful. You don't notice these little details because they're not important. He's beautiful. He's a devotee of Krishna, and yet what makes Prabhupada so attractive? He was an old man. We met him as an old man, but he was beautiful. When you see the picture, Srila Prabhupada is beautiful. He's attractive. Somebody was telling me, I was in France, I think. Prabhupada was born, I think, was under Rohini star, which is very auspicious star, and the moon was also, because he's an astrologer, that devotee. So at the time Prabhupada was born was very particular, and under the influence of that particular moon, a person has very beautiful features. And he said, that's why Prabhupada looks so beautiful. He was born in a very particular astrological arrangement. Of course, this astrological arrangement is a secondary thing. Prabhupada was beautiful because he was a devotee of the Lord. So it's wonderful, and if you just read Srila Prabhupada's books as he asks us to do, and on a regular basis, we actually meet Srila Prabhupada. You were saying, oh, you have met Srila Prabhupada, it's such so special. We know, we never met him. No, we actually all can meet Srila Prabhupada. He's there actually, he's there. It's not because we saw him with the material eyes and we listened to him and noticed some things with him that we are more qualified to realize his real nature as a devotee. No, any person can do that. And I would even say that you are even more fortunate, because you are the grandchildren of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada explained many times that the father is very, very kind, very merciful to the child, but the grandfather is even. They never had my personal contact, but they are they are trying to serve me, they are trying to serve my mission. So Prabhupada may give more mercy to his grandchildren and the grandchildren that will come later. So Prabhupada's mercy, Prabhupada's personality, Prabhupada teaching everything about Prabhupada, his love for Krishna, the way he presents Krishna is available to any one of us. We should never think, oh, Prabhupada disciple is very special. Okay, you may think that about your gurus, because you think always guru is special. But the other thing is nothing very much special. What is special is that we can actually encounter Srila Prabhupada just by reading his books, just by following his instruction. You can meet him, you can really perceive him, his presence. And I know of many devotees who never saw Srila Prabhupada. You know, we feel dream about Srila Prabhupada, hear Srila Prabhupada give them some advices, Prabhupada feeling happy about what they have done, you know. So many cases, many instances where devotees have experienced a very living experience of Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is available, is actually available to everyone. And recently I was analyzing, actually, is Srila Prabhupada that is sustaining all of us. All our devotion is mainly sustained by Srila Prabhupada. We may have our Diksha Gurus, and our Diksha Gurus, their main function is to give us Prabhupada, to give us access to Srila Prabhupada, access to Srila Prabhupada's teachings. This is the main duty of a guru in our society. Because Srila Prabhupada is very unique, a very unique personality. He's not somebody that comes, the type of personality that comes to this material world very often. Even amongst his God brothers, Prabhupada was very, very unique. The contribution of Srila Prabhupada to all world, it's very, very unique. It's not going to happen again. It's already done. Prabhupada did something. It does not need to be done again. Krishna consciousness is spread all over the world. That was the prophecy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada did it. And if you're still going to different corners of the planet, it's just because Prabhupada already chalked the way to go, how to establish centers, how to develop, how to preach Krishna. It is all based on Srila Prabhupada's ways of doing. Prabhupada did it actually. We're just continuing that. But it's all done by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is a very special personality amongst all the acharyas. It's like the fulfillment, we could consider the fulfillment of all the desires of all the acharyas, that one day Krishna consciousness would go all over the world. You know, there's a place behind Radha Damodar temple where the Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis and all the other Babajis in Vrindavan, they would sit down and discuss how Krishna consciousness would one day be given to people outside of India. And then they were writing those books. Why they were writing those books? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had prophetized he wanted Krishna consciousness to be delivered to every conditioned soul in this planet. He wanted to give the fruit of love of Krishna to everyone. You know that story where he says that I have grown these trees and this tree, and there is so many fruits. You know, fruits of love of Krishna. There's so many fruits in this tree. I'm a gardener. I can take some fruits, but who's going to take care of distributing all these fruits? I cannot distribute all these fruits, so please help me to distribute these fruits. So this is Lord Chaitanya's mission, to distribute Prema Bhakti all over the world. It's a very special gift that Krishna decided to give in this particular Kali Yuga where we were born. Very, very special. And he prepared the 6 Goswamis to write in order to really distribute this knowledge to all over the world. The Goswamis were not going to distribute. And many of the acharyas that came after, they were not going until Bhaktivedanta could start really making the plans how how this knowledge would be distributed in the West, how Krishna consciousness would be practiced by modern people. And then Bhaktisiddhanta, preparing the field in India, good basis, and sending disciples and encouraging his disciples to go to the West. And then his instruction to Srila Prabhupada, a very particular instruction in the word. Just don't worry about this situation in the Gaudiya Math. You just go to the West and preach to the English-speaking people. Instead of even if we have to, and print books, write books, print books, because this is the most important thing to do in order to spread Krishna consciousness. He was the only one who took this seriously. Nobody else. So many of his God brothers wrote books, yes, commentaries on books, and wrote their own books. But those books are just for those who are already living in the temples to practice in India, those who are already very qualified. They didn't produce anything for the conditioned souls like Srila Prabhupada did. Writing books that are accessible to lay people, people who don't have any understanding of what Krishna consciousness is. Prabhupada gave that. Bringing a very high philosophical understanding to a level that common people can understand. Even Srila Prabhupada's English in his books, Prabhupada knew how to write very sophisticated English. And Prabhupada chose to write very simple English that anybody can read. Even a person who has no much education can read. So nice. Actually, we made a mistake at translating many of Srila Prabhupada's books in a very sophisticated language, in our own languages. I saw in France. They wrote in very sophisticated French, very rich French, that very common people may not read so easily. Prabhupada wrote in a very simple English, very simple. Because he wanted everybody to have access to this knowledge. It's for everybody. So Prabhupada was empowered. He was empowered to write these books, It was not something that just happened, okay, maybe I should write some books. His spiritual master wanted him to write books. Krishna wanted him to write books. Because it was the basis. Books are the basis of the foundation of the preaching movement are the books. Mao Zedong, leader, the China leader, he created a revolution, a popular revolution with a little red book. I saw the book. It's really a small book with some maxims, some ideas, ideologies. A small book created a revolution, moved the whole country into a revolution. Prabhupada said, what about us? We have so many books and they are big. What kind of revolution are going to create in the consciousness of people all over the world? And this is the right revolution, the real revolution. Revolution of one's consciousness, a complete change. Prabhupada did that, established a revolution. Now, it's up to us to distribute his books and give his books away. Nityananda is doing it. Where's Lochan? He went back. Distribute Srila Prabhupada's books is very important because it's how we establish a revolution. And then people naturally, they come. Books are there and the people will start coming. Times are going rough. Times are going rough all over the world. Economy is collapsing. It's a very serious thing because everybody's pleasure in this world depends on a stable economy. Money. If there is no money, there is no much enjoyment. And people, if they don't have material enjoyment, they're going to be very, very mad, very disappointed, very disturbed. So if these books are there, this message is there. When the terrible moments come, Prabhupada said, in that situation they may read the books, looking for solace, some refuge, some shelter, understanding why these things are happening. Because once things are really going bad, people start asking questions. Why? And then, yes, all the answers are there in Srila Prabhupada's books, so we can understand everything. So it's wonderful. We will never be able to understand the depth of Srila Prabhupada's contribution to the world. We still, even as devotees, as his followers, we have not understood, a big percentage of the importance of Srila Prabhupada in our lives. We often forget. We often forget or take it for granted. Okay, I'm a devotee, so what? Yeah, I'm practicing, I'm doing this and that, and you forget that it is because of Srila Prabhupada that we can actually do what we are doing. We can change our lives. It's because of Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada is our most important spiritual master. Our important spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, is our most dear Shiksha Guru, dear grandfather, grandfather, and we all, especially you as grandchildren, you should run Prabhupada's shelter because he's a grandfather. He's always very, very kind. When Prabhupada says, I continue, I will be staying in my books, it does not just mean his instruction, which are naturally is the most important thing, but his presence. His presence is also there. Because in the absolute platform there is no difference between the person and what the person says. There is no difference, it's all absolute. So by following his teachings, by realizing this knowledge, we also realize the presence, the physical presence of Srila Prabhupada in our lives. It becomes a reality. Like Krishna is a reality even though we are not seeing him now, but we know that one day we can see Krishna face to face. Yes, we will see also Prabhupada face to face. All of us will have this chance. So Prabhupada is available to everybody, and particularly his grandchildren. Always remember that. Just read his books, try to understand his biographies. So many biographies out there, so many stories about Prabhupada that feel so attracted to his personality. Even myself, even though I was initiated by Prabhupada, I got to know Prabhupada by reading the biographies about Prabhupada. The experience the devotees had with Srila Prabhupada, the stories about Srila Prabhupada, what a wonderful thing to be connected with this person. It's such a wonderful thing. People feel so, Christians, they feel so, when they have a revelation of the Christ, or there's some connection, they feel such an intense happiness, Imagine us, we are connected to somebody that in stature of devotion, is higher even than Jesus Christ. And his contribution to the world is much, much higher. So we have a great shelter in Srila Prabhupada. Krishna is maybe too far for us, but Srila Prabhupada is very near. He's very near. He walked here not so long ago. And he's still there in his books, in his words. So we all can take advantage of his association. Srila Prabhupada. Any comment? Nitya? Ananda? Yoga program? Yeah. From 2 o'clock to an hour? 2:30. Wow. Just talking?
And chanting also.
Chanting. Awesome. So many people.
Not so many. Around 10.
Good.
Future teachers of yoga.
Teachers of yoga. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice because if they get some insight on this philosophy, then they can also encourage them to chant the Maha Mantra Hare Krishna before they do their yoga sessions. It's nice because they always chant some mantras or hear some mantras. Why not do that with the Maha Mantra Hare Krishna? Yeah. It's easy for everybody to follow. With nice melody. I gave one time though. I used to have one devotee from Canada. I used to make new age type of melodies with the Maha Mantra, which is very suitable for yoga clubs, yoga things, and the devotees who try this, and they're teaching Hatha Yoga, they find that people really like it. They like it because it's very soft. But they like the Maha Mantra is so nice, so beautiful. How could not be beautiful? It's Krishna. It's Krishna. Yeah, we should not be afraid to tell these people in yoga to chant Hare Krishna. They do it. They can do it so easy. There's no problem. It's simple, very easy to memorize, and you can sing it with nice melodies. Yeah, somehow or other give them Krishna. This is Prabhupada's desire, give Krishna to everybody, make everybody chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Be happy. You have no problem, you are already happy.
Something I was thinking some time ago regarding how in the way of appreciating Srila Prabhupada, I want to share. I was noticing how also some people, they devotees, they already gave so much effort. For example, one example I know is towards my guru. So I see that some devotees, they really work hard and they really do something, and they say yes for the guru. They understand, they have this motivation, and they do. And it's quite amazing that. And then I thought, yes, is there this motivation, and because my guru is there, and he connects and he speaks, and so this is there alive. And then I thought, it's quite amazing. They are giving much effort. And my guru is not so known, he's known there, so some people there in Brazil do this, and some people elsewhere do this. And not much more, and not much more are related to this person that I know. And then I thought, okay, so this area of influence, it seems very great, because many people are giving many energy. But still the area of influence is not so big, it's a little bit here, a little bit there. And then I thought, and Srila Prabhupada, all over the world people were giving a lot of energy and a lot of effort. So this area of influence was all the world. And still now, it's still growing this, and people are motivated to do something, to give time of their life, to give their thoughts, and to give also their actions. So I compare also.
Certainly, Srila Prabhupada, greatness is without compare. And he kind of manifests himself through his dedicated disciples who are pushing Krishna consciousness, his followers, and they are all empowered with some Shakti, with some energy to do what they do. And they all feel like that. All his followers, feel that yes, it's because of Prabhupada's Shakti, Prabhupada's mercy that we can do so many things, we can accomplish so many things. Srila Prabhupada influence, and he will be now. We still the world don't know much about Prabhupada. They know the Hare Krishna people, Hare Krishna movement, but they don't know much about Prabhupada. But one day will be that Prabhupada will be so much glorified. Like Jesus, also in the beginning, nobody knew about. Christians were there, and Christian movements were there, but Jesus was not so much known. But then suddenly he became so popular. All over the world, everybody knows about Jesus and the contribution of Jesus. It took 2,000 years, to achieve that position in the world. So Prabhupada, also will take some time. Depends how much also we spread his glories and follow his instructions, And then Srila Prabhupada will be more glorified. And we like that Prabhupada is glorified because he's very dear to Krishna. If Prabhupada is glorified, Krishna is very happy, very satisfied. And we want to please them. It's our desire. Srila Prabhupada's influence is huge. It's huge. We can't measure. We can't measure, even though we may think, oh, a few devotees here in Lisbon, a few devotees in Porto, a few devotees in this and this place. They say it's just a few devotees. Yes. These are moons. Not stars. These are moons. One moon, when it appears in the sky, with the brilliance of one moon, we don't even notice the stars. All the stars. So Prabhupada created moons because one moon can illuminate the whole sky. You need many, many stars to do that. So many stars are there, many great personalities, gurus, and this and that. But moons, that's what Prabhupada wanted us to become, moons. So it's not a question of number, quantity. It's a question of a quality of devotees. So if our devotees become very serious, and then because of their quality, they can have a very large influence in the minds of people. Prabhupada, one person, has such a big influence. So if we all become like Prabhupada, and you may say, oh, I cannot become like Prabhupada. But Prabhupada said it. One time one disciple asked Srila Prabhupada, I would love so much to be like you. And Prabhupada said, yeah, that's very nice. Prabhupada didn't think, or he never stated that he had the monopoly to be the most important personality, the greatest devotee on the planet. He said, what he was, anybody of us could become. Prabhupada made it very clear. We can become like him. Not him, certainly, but we can become like him, great devotees of Krishna, very wonderful devotees of Krishna, as he is, because that's what he wanted us to become. Of course, we may consider ourselves very, very far from that, or maybe we'll never be anything. Because always the devotee considers himself very insignificant, but Prabhupada also considered himself very, very insignificant. Very insignificant. He never considered himself, oh, I am the great Acharya of the Hare Krishna movement, the one who did everything, spread Krishna consciousness all over. No. Always he gave his all credit. It's all to my Guru Maharaj. It's by the mercy of my Guru Maharaj that we, and he used to say, you will read in his books and his conversation, we were able to do this. We were able to achieve this and this. Every time when Prabhupada would, any important person speak, I did, Prabhupada said, we did. Because Prabhupada never considered that he did it alone. He did it with all his followers. All his followers were contributing for his success. So Prabhupada always, addressing himself, he never mentioned I, you see. You notice? In letters, very seldom Prabhupada speaks I or me. It's always us. Especially when it comes to achieving something. Prabhupada always gave credit to others, to his devotees. And it was not just a kind of a form of speech, it was a fact. He really felt that whatever was accomplished was due to the activity, the effort of all the devotees together. Even though we know that if it would not be for him, nothing would have been done. Amazing personality, really amazing personality. If you study Srila Prabhupada's accomplishments, it's really amazing. Amazing. Establish a worldwide organization to spread, it's not to spread religion, it's to spread Krishna consciousness, prema bhakti. It's not a little thing. It was never done. It was never done in this planet. From many kalpas, once in every 27 Kali Yugas. Once in every 27 Kali Yugas. It's a long time. No, this is a very, 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 very special. very special thing. And we should feel that we are extremely, extremely fortunate to be in contact with a society where Srila established by Srila Prabhupada, where Srila Prabhupada is the main personality and is present there. We should feel very fortunate, because this is the greatest fortune we can achieve in this material world, to be part of Srila Prabhupada's house. What is that? Bhavananda Prabhu went to with some other devotee to see this famous astrologer in Calcutta, and one thing that the astrologer said, oh, this person, when they gave all the reference of Prabhupada's birth and everything, oh, this person, this was in the beginning, now in 1970, this person will build a house, the entire world can fit him. He's an astrologer, huh? It's true, huh? It's true, it's really, Prabhupada really create a place where we can take shelter. Wherever we go in the world and we see devotees, home, huh? You feel home. Just build a devotee's home. And this is Srila Prabhupada's accomplishment, you know. To create a society that gives shelter to all the people. So nice. So Srila Prabhupada is there, available to you too. Especially when we read the biographies, huh? We read the biographies of Prabhupada. So wonderful. You really become attached to his personality, because it's really, you never met a person like this, huh? You see nice people in the world, there's certainly nice people in the world that have done wonderful things, you know, but a person like him, so complete in all aspects, you know, it's just impossible to find. So complete, you know. He's singing, he's talking, he's laughing, you know, his gestures, you know, everything is just so special in Srila Prabhupada. So special. His humility, his genuine humility. Not flattering. He didn't need to flatter people in order to get followers. Prabhupada never flattered people to get followers. He had to say the truth, he would say the truth. You know, he never flattered. Just because people had means, had money that could contribute Prabhupada. No, not at all. I told you that story of Srila Prabhupada in Kobe, in Japan. And Prabhupada was invited for a program outside of Tokyo. I think it was Kobe, a big city outside of Tokyo. And programs like that, there were opportunities, you know, for, you know, to get the Indian community more involved, particularly because Indian community means resources, and they could help financially. And it's a very nice way to be known, through a program, to be known. So we always give very much importance to public programs, because we can attract many people. So they went to that public program. They were invited by the Indian organization there. There were hundreds of people there in the gathering, and the devotees found out, and Srila Prabhupada also, found out that actually he was not the only speaker. They had invited also another Swami, who happened to be a Mayavadi Swami. So they were invited, and they were already there, and what they could do, they were not going to say, okay, we don't give the program because this Mayavadi is also there. So Prabhupada was invited first. They had made a very large asana in a very, very raised platform, quite raised, like the altar there, very raised, for the Swami would speak. So Prabhupada was first, so Prabhupada climbed the Vyasasana and sat there, and he gave his the kirtan, and then he gave his talk. And then was the time for the Mayavadi Swami to speak. So the organizers, they gestured to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada ignored. Prabhupada ignored the calling. Prabhupada looked like distracted. And Swamiji didn't move. They insisted so much, and Prabhupada didn't give didn't show any intention of coming down from the exercise. Even the devotees were kind of embarrassed. So they had to just arrange for a seat for that Swami, Okay, here is the Swami, Prabhupada sitting there. Here is the Swami, the Mayavadi seated down. And the Mayavadi started giving his talk. In the beginning was okay. But then he started, yeah, we are all God. Prabhupada didn't like it. From the platform, Prabhupada directed his disciples, saying, "Start kirtan! Immediately start kirtan!" Everybody, this is 100 people there in the conference, and the devotees said, and Prabhupada insisting, "Start kirtan!" And the devotees said, bang, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And the poor Swami was very embarrassed. He stopped his talk and then he just moved around. He created a fuss. Prabhupada created a fuss. No compromise. Even though, okay, you may say, maybe so many nice people were there, they could be favorable to us. Prabhupada didn't care for that and said, actually, later on, there was the Indian community, some of them felt very disturbed. But later on, they changed their opinion. They could understand Prabhupada was a real sadhu. So Prabhupada didn't make any okay, we have to be nice with these people because they can help us. No. If they're going to listen to something that's bogus, that's wrong, it's an offense to Krishna, I cannot admit, and Prabhupada could not tolerate that. Right? We couldn't do that, huh? We couldn't do such a thing, in a gathering like that. We are invited. We are not organizing the program, we are invited. Prabhupada was invited. But Prabhupada never acted like an invited person. He was an ambassador of Krishna. He did the same in Paris. That was a very, very far out thing. Unfortunately, they filmed, you can see in the following Srila Prabhupada, I think 74, 73, you can see that event, but it was not recorded. Somehow or other the tape recorder didn't work. The movie was shot, the movie is there. So what happened is that they went to the airport to receive Srila Prabhupada, and at that time an Indian dignitary, I think Indian ambassador, I think it was Indian ambassador or some important person from the Indian government was also coming, but they didn't the car that was supposed to receive him didn't come. So here it was, Prabhupada arrived and the Indian dignitary from the government was there. And so some of the Indians there, they came to the devotee, said, "Do you mind to give a ride to our person?" Said, the devotee said, okay. Where are you going to go? Oh, we go to the mayor, to the mayor in Paris, the palace of the mayor, because you're supposed to have a reception. So the devotee says, okay, so you make arrangement that Prabhupada is also received by the mayor. It was not planned. Never. The mayor was going to receive Prabhupada. Hare Krishna person, what would they care for? Yeah, they were receiving the government person, but the devotees make the deal, so the arrangement was there, and the guy from the government was well received, and he made sure that Prabhupada would also be received by the mayor. Here is the mayor, the secretary of the mayor, standing up, and they were forced to make a discourse of welcome to Prabhupada. They were not prepared for that. You know what they had to do, because that's the way of receiving an important person. And Prabhupada, and when the mayor speaks, you know, to welcome somebody, you know, the guest stands up to, you know, to receive the welcome speech, you know, is a proper way of doing it in diplomatic etiquette. Srila Prabhupada was seated, as he was seated before. Everybody stood up. Prabhupada remained seated, and neither the mayor of Paris were become a little embarrassed, a little disturbed, but he managed to glorify, yes, ambassador of Bhakti Yoga from India, the culture, religious culture from India, because they have given him all the details about Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is seated, so the devotees, you know, when devotees say Prabhupada, the protocol is that we stand. If Prabhupada said, standing for? For who? Prabhupada didn't stand up. So you may think, oh, Prabhupada was, why he was thinking he was? No, Prabhupada never thought of himself as a guest. He was Krishna's ambassador. Krishna is the boss, he's not the guest. He is a representative, he's not the guest. It's his place. He's supposed to be glorified. He's supposed to have the high, because he's Krishna's representative. He was not doing that on his own account. He was doing because he was representing Krishna. This is standing up for whom? You know, Prabhupada stayed there seated. And then when the mayor finished his discourse, maybe 10 minutes in, you know, all the dignitaries are there from the government, you know. Then Srila Prabhupada stood up. When they finished, stood up, because it was the time. Oftentimes they don't speak. The other people in Prabhupada, they wanted to say something else. And he started preaching. He preaching. You know, a real government, you know, it should make sure that all the regulative principles in society should be followed, that people are free from sinful activities, and on and on and on. Prabhupada went to preach the whole thing. And here he is, the mayor, who was not supposed to receive Prabhupada, who was not supposed to do all these things, and all these people from the government listen to Prabhupada, yes. And Prabhupada preached the whole thing, Krishna consciousness, straightforward. And what is the duty of a leader? Prabhupada spoke everything very clear. He didn't make it, oh yeah, you're very nice people, French is a very nice country, and you were very kind to receive me, stuff like that. None. Prabhupada went on preaching about, you know, what is a real leader, what a leader should be. No compromise. This is our Prabhupada. You see, it's not a person who is trying to flatter or trying to be kind just to be noticed, or okay, so they can help us. No. Prabhupada made no compromise. He was not a guest. He was. And when you hear Prabhupada's conversations, do you hear Prabhupada's lectures or conversations? If you don't, take a habit of doing it, because you learn so much. So much. It's so wonderful. Conversations. Prabhupada is what we call a very bad, in terms of etiquette, you know, when you talk with somebody, you give space for the person to express himself, you know, to say, and you speak, and then, yes, you give, it's polite, you know, to allow the person to express himself. Srila Prabhupada was not that. A person would say something, Prabhupada, and speak. He controls the situation. He is the one who directs what he's going to talk. Anytime the person wants to speak about something that's not really very interesting, and Prabhupada immediately stops him, and, you know, and very, what you say, very unpolite, without the person finish what he wants to say, and Prabhupada established the Krishna consciousness in a very, 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 very serious way. No roundabout, okay, you're very nice, yes, hey, yeah, very nice opinion, yeah, but we think different. No. Prabhupada cuts. And you see, his conversation is like that. He cuts. Unless the person is a religious person, a very good insights, a very good realizations, Prabhupada, yes. lets them speak a little bit and present, yeah, this is proper, and then adds more to that, you know. But people want just to talk about things, not so much important, not so much related with Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada just bring everything to Krishna consciousness, way of understanding it, and he interfere with their talk. He stops them. Because Prabhupada doesn't think he's just a person to chat with somebody else. He's a spiritual master, he's Krishna's representative. He's not coming there just to have a talk with a person. He comes there to teach the person how to be God conscious, because that's the purpose of his existence. Prabhupada doesn't think, oh, he may like or may not like if I... No, Prabhupada sees that person as a recipient of Krishna consciousness. He should. Is the purpose of his existence is to become Krishna conscious. So I should give him Krishna conscious. That's Prabhupada's motto, you know, his urgency of doing things, of talking with people. Not just to talk, be nice, be kind, tap on the back, you know, make good friends. We do like that because we don't have that punch, you know, that position of ambassador of Krishna as Prabhupada had. But Prabhupada didn't compromise his position. Talking no matter with who, Prabhupada straight to the point, you know, bringing Krishna consciousness. No, just entertaining people. Prabhupada, for him, every moment had to be engaged for Krishna's pleasure, for satisfaction of Krishna, not just to casually have a social dealings with people. You know? That's an acharya. Krishna is a representative. He sees the importance, the urgency of giving Krishna consciousness to people. There's no time to waste. And I remember when he met his spiritual master in the beginning, and he was in the Gandhi movement at that time, and then when this Guru Maharaj told him, it's very important, you are young, very educated young people, you should go to the West and preach this Krishna consciousness. And what Srila Prabhupada said at that time, oh, India is occupied country. Who's going to listen to us outside? If you're an occupied country, nobody listens to you. You are not a country, it's not recognized. It's a colony, you know. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, no, Krishna consciousness cannot wait. It's a very urgent thing. Cannot wait for these political changes. Krishna consciousness has to be given to everyone. And when Srila Prabhupada heard him speak like this, wow, this is serious. You could understand that Krishna consciousness was in the hands of a very, very exalted, qualified person, and Prabhupada took on the same mood. Urgency of giving Krishna consciousness, not wasting time. And Srila Prabhupada knew that his time was limited in this planet. He had to use all the time he had at his disposition disposal to give Krishna to others. Very unique. You don't see another one like him. You see, even amongst his God brothers, many very glorious, very wonderful devotees, offer them the greatest respects, but not anyone like Prabhupada. You don't see, just don't see. And what Prabhupada did, nobody else will ever do, because it's already done. It's already done. Now everybody just come to eat the remnants of Prabhupada. Take advantage of what he already has done. That's what everybody does now. Take advantage of what Prabhupada has already established. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Should we have Prasad?